Hi, book friends. I'm here with my first YouTube video back on YouTube. I used to do these a lot, but now with TikTok kind of up in the air, I decided, hey, why not just come back, do longer yapping videos, and hopefully y'all are okay with that and enjoy them. I'm hoping this end of the year book tag doesn't take me too long, but we're going to see right now as I go through all of these questions and the books that go along with them. Again, if you liked these and I say I didn't, it's totally cool. We're all still friends here, and I'm hoping that we can all agree to disagree. So let's get into the book tag. Starting this off strong, my most disappointing book of the year. It's going to be a very hot take. Some of these are actually going to be very hot takes for some y'all because I know the fan base is very strong. And I am part of the fan base. Just didn't hit. Reckless by Lauren Roberts was my most disappointing book of the year. I was actually very much looking forward to the second book in the series. I enjoyed Powerless. I know there's still 50-50 on like those that like it and those that don't, but Reckless just did not happen for me. I feel like the plot really didn't go anywhere. There was no really straight course, and I feel like that we really focused so much on the banter between Kai and Peyton that I think I was more annoyed by the fact of the progression not happening. And it was kind of weird throwing in Kit as a third person or a first person narrative in there with some chapters. And his didn't really seem to go anywhere either, but I think we needed to keep track of what was happening at the castle or the palace or whatever. I think we're following his character development, but it just felt very just thrown in there and didn't seem to go anywhere. I feel like I overhyped this a lot. Sorry for those that really liked this, but the last pages really have me looking forward to Fearless. So I'm still going to read it. Doesn't mean I'm not. What was my underhyped book of the year? The Will of the Many by James Islington. I think I've heard a lot about it. Trust me, I'm on fantasy era books and talk and whatever you want to call the platform. And I heard a lot about it, but I feel like it's still not talked about enough. I think I still haven't gotten to that point in the social media world about reviews about this, kind of like explaining the magic system, which I need to kind of delve into more. But this is, in my opinion, underhyped this year, and I want to hype it up more because I think the plot in general just took off so well. And it was a very, well, I'm not going to say it now because it's going to come up again in these questions, but the plot itself was definitely one that was well built, the world building around it, the character development. And although it's similar to other fantasy plot elements and contents, I think this still was not getting the hype it deserved this year, even though it came out last year. Maybe I missed the hype. I don't know, but it was really good and I loved this so much. Now, an overhyped book for me this year, another hot take for everybody. House of Flame and Shadow by Sarah J. Maas was one I highly anticipated as well. Given that I don't like the Crescent City series, I, without spoiling it, I had to read it. If you know, you know. But it was so overhyped. For how big this book is, the plot was not plotty. It took so long. And I already don't like Bryce. Sorry for those that really love Bryce, but I don't. She just annoyed me so much in this book. A book that surprised me was Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. Abby Jimenez is reintroduction back into romance, which is why I was very surprised that I loved this book, because I really kept myself away from all the romance, the romantic like comedy books, and I felt like I was going to be so cringed out by all of these romantic books that I just felt like I wasn't going to like it. And I actually really did. And I'm now back into that romance series of my life with reading. So I'm very happy about that. And thank you so much, Abby Jimenez. My favorite book couple of the year has to be Justin and Emma from Just for the Summer. Now, Just for the Summer was one of my top reads as well this year. And that relationship was just amazing. I felt such a connection between them. I loved Justin so much, such a family guy, which I love. And it blew me away. And they're so cute. And he went through so much for her. And I know at one point I was very upset with her, but they ended up being such a beautiful couple. My favorite main characters of the year would have to be the three female characters in Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil. This was an arc. It's a book by V.E. Schwab that comes out in June of 2025. And the women in this book carry so much weight and different reasons for being and pursuing life. They were so strong in their own ways, but also so weak in other ways. And V.E. Schwab just did a great job writing female dominated power and redemption, feeling what a woman feels. And it was just so great to see it through all these different perspectives of themselves. So love them, and hopefully y'all read that when it comes out in June. My new favorite author that I discovered this year, Abby Jimenez. I was introduced to the Abby Jimenez world, and now I am sucked in. I read a lot of her books all in this year. She's probably my most read author this year, just because I love what she puts out. I'm back in this romance era. Next, I'm going to try Emily Henry, but right now, Abby is it. Happiest books I read this year would have to be Abby Jimenez books. It's just, they're so cute, and it's just so beautiful, and the relationships are so good, and there's portions of healthy relationships and communication. In another sense, the saddest books I read this year have to be also Abby Jimenez's arc I just read, Say You'll Remember Me, comes out April 2025. And this was super happy, but also, oh my god, it tore my heart apart. I literally just felt like tears. I cried. I cried my eyes out reading this book, and it's so emotional. It literally tears you apart, and I cannot recommend it enough. It's my whole personality right now. The most frustrating book I read this year would have to be The Echo Wife by Sarah Gailey. I was reading this as a book club read with my friends, and this just did not hit. I'm not a thrillerish person or like a suspense person, and this was more of like a psychological thriller that just didn't hit it for me. And I think it's also because I love a lot of action, and this was so slow paced. When we discussed it with my book club, one of my friends mentioned like different aspects of the book and takeaways that I didn't get when I read it. So that's why it's great to have a book club. You get all these perspectives, but I was so frustrated with the main character's inner monologue. I didn't like all of the science aspect that was thrown in there because it really muddled more of like the plot in general. But I guess if you think of things a different way, you grasp other portions of it. My favorite covers of the year would have to be Just for the Summer. This was such a beautiful, feel-good summer read, and it was perfect for when the time it came out right before the summer, and it just kind of bled right into it. So I think this was such a beautiful cover. Another beautiful cover would have to be The Games Gods Play by Abigail Owens. I love the sprayed edges. I love this cover. Did I like the book? No, that was another story. But nevertheless, this was actually not a bad cover. It was really pretty. A book I haven't stopped thinking about would have to be Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil. It is stuck on my mind. I am so excited for more people to read it because I want to get other people's takes on it. And also because the whole summary and synopsis is not out yet. And I need to talk about it. I don't want to spoil it for people because I think V.E. Schwab has a purpose of doing it that way. So that is why I haven't said anything. But this one is like stuck here. It won't come out. Unpopular book that I loved. Didn't really think I found one or followed one that people didn't like, but I loved. So I'm not going to answer that. Other news, a book that I thought I would love but didn't would have to be Reckless by Lauren Roberts. I've already given my reasons about this, and I wanted to like it so much. The most unique book I read this year is The Will of the Many by James Islington. I don't want to say that it was totally not like any other fantasy. There was concepts that were the same, but what I think was unique was the magic system, or what is used in the system to make people powerful and to power buildings and to power the hierarchy, which is people's human will. So I'm really curious to see what the second book is going to tell us about human will and how to use will and more of the magic behind that, because right now this one was more focused on the plot and the structure and just getting the bare bones of this world. And I'm hoping in the second book we discover more about human will. A book that I read this year that I would reread, Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil. I probably am going to reread it when it comes out in June, just so that I kind of get a refresher, maybe catch a couple things I didn't catch the first time, and also talk about it with everybody else because read it. Please let me talk about it with you. And lastly, a book I wish I got to this year, Babel by R.F. Kuang. I'm going to read this in January. Okay, I have been saying that for the last 2 months on my other TBRs, but this one I'm going to get to. I've heard such great things. Linguistics is my major for my undergrads. How could I not? How could I not read this? So prepare to be sick of me in January about this book. So that was my end of the year book tag. Did you like any of these? Can you give me other perspectives, please? I need to know. I hope everybody has a great new year and happy reading, everybody.